Hello, Internet. I am Angela. Welcome to the Nerdsmith Power Hour. I will be your host today, and as you can see, there's a lot of me right now. So I decided that today I wanted to do a couple of things. First of all, I wanted to talk a little bit about um, World Anvil, one of our amazing sponsors. Hello, Chad. Welcome to the show. We're doing a little bit of a simple layout today because I wanted as much real estate as possible to show off my pretty website that I'm working on. So, if you are a continued viewer of the Nerdsmith Network, you would be very aware of the fact that we are sponsored by World Anvil. It's an amazing campaign management software that campaign management and world building software that allows you to make essentially very in-depth wikis for your stories and for your games. But there are a lot of other cool features in it, as well as some new ones that have just come out, especially for guild members. Things like family trees and bloodlines and organization charts and lots of ways of visualizing your information, especially if you're dealing with world building that's more hierarchical. But it's a little not quite what we're doing today. So today I am indulging myself. Thank you all for indulging me yourselves. Uh, I have been delving in quite a bit into cosplay lately, specifically cosplay of original characters, and that's something I wanted to talk about today. The difference between two particular terms. There is the term PC, which is very common in RPGs, meaning player character, and then there's a term OCs, which would stand for specifically original characters. Now, there is a lot of blending there, and I know that I have had conversations with people in the past that was like, well, why do you call it an OC? Why don't you just call it a PC? I mean, you're playing it in a D&D game. Why are you calling it an OC? And what I have found, and this is purely from my own experience with friends or from a more sociological or communications lens, an OC is much broader than just being in an RPG. Hold on a second. Turning on a fan because it's warm. Uh, so the idea of an OC or an original character is kind of taking this character concept and moving beyond the confines of the game you're playing it in. You are gonna have OCs that are the creations of artists who like playing role playing games and creating those characters, but then those characters exist in a much broader sense through that artist's work. They like drawing things with them. They like illustrating sort of alternative versions of them or things that might not have canonically happened in the game, backstory, just things like hopeful hypotheticals, things like that, and just like character studies. You also have OCs in writing, primarily. I mean, any original character in writing is an OC, I guess technically, but there is an element of role play involved. But in fan fiction or in just amateur fiction, someone could, again, I'll roll it back into the RPG thing. A PC that starts its existence as a character created for an RPG, but then transitions into a subject of a lot of fiction writing for that writer. They do elaborate backstory scenes. They decide they want to have a romantic subplot for their character, but it doesn't really fit in the game, so they write those sort of storylines. Um, Another, and obviously you sort of get the hint here. Another aspect of OCs is cosplaying as them. Now, cosplay originates in a couple of different places. Uh, Obviously, cosplay would come from a uh, trying to pay homage to an existing fictional character that is not your original work. So obviously, pretty much any convention cosplay you see is going to be X-Men, superhero. Oh, X-Men are superheroes. You get the idea. Television shows, movies, comics, literally anything someone could cosplay. Um, but creating your own original stuff, my I believe my first foray into understanding or noticing that people cosplayed original characters was at Ren fairs. People would just dress like whatever in the theme of what they were going for at the Ren fair. Uh, so it's not like a new thing to dress up like characters that are not an homage to something that you are a fan of, but more a part of a creation that you have made yourself. Um, so the reason that I got into cosplay, really only in the last 4 months or so, is because I recently joined the mobile app TikTok. TikTok is very similar to Vine, if you remember that back in the day. Back in the day, it wasn't that long ago. The concept being that you create videos that are very truncated. Vine was a 10-second limit, I believe, but TikTok allows you to make anything from zero, technically, up to 60 seconds. And there's two formats. You can do 15-second videos or 60-second videos, and obviously anything in between there you can film. But what I discovered was that the cosplay community is really vibrant on TikTok. There's a lot of people that do lip syncing videos to funny tracks or music or anything like that, and people are making tremendously interesting art on TikTok. What's so intriguing is the limitations of the medium allowing you to force yourself to get creative in a lot of different ways. Obviously, you're filming on your phone primarily. A lot of people film on other cameras and then transfer it into TikTok. But if you're going to be doing any interactions with people, you need to have your phone camera. And there's going to be limitations in the way that the image is framed. There's going to be limitations in particularly in my phone's case, lighting exposure is automatic on my phone, and so I have to be very conscious of my lighting, and I have creative lighting, which is fun. Lots of people have LED strips that do different colors so that they can have lots of visual effects. Creativity and ingenuity in low budget video effects is very impressive on TikTok. Lots of people playing around with editing tricks, understanding that stop and go, almost stop motion editing style can allow you to do a lot of cool physical effects just by moving your body and cutting, and having your hand somewhere else would look like, you're shoving yourself out of the way and you're still there. There's some really cool stuff that they're doing. So people are making very short form fiction essentially on TikTok, short form filmmaking with original characters, and they have tags that have to do with certain storylines or certain world building. And you can, hi Jesse, I'm talking about TikTok and overseas because I decided to start a project last night, and I figured I'll just do it for Power Hour tonight or today. So the idea of short form filmmaking in these particular community tags, and I'll go through a few that I'm a part of, and I've joined up with some really cool people, really amazing artists, and watching folks do the so let's go into it a little bit. So I have been playing around in World Anvil last night, making a page. This was inspired by someone who had put together a blog. They put together a blog and made a video about it saying, hey, if you want to learn more about my original characters, I have a lot of backstory for them, or a lot of things about them that you might not garner from the limitations of that 15-second video format, or just those glimpses that you're creating with TikTok videos. So if you want to learn more about my characters, you can go to this blog. And me, wanting a new project to build in World Anvil, realized, oh, crap, this would be a great way to express my characters and to share them with people. So I played around on my homepage for a new website, My Original Characters, Darling Gypsum. It's a very long URL. I am not a Sage level, sadly, so I can't do custom URLs, but if you do Sage level, you can do custom vanity URLs for your World Anvil stuff, so it's really cool. Anyway, so my page here. This is my homepage for my original character cosplay, and as you can see, I have too many of them. But I have these set up as images that when you click on them, you get sent to their article, their character article, and I'm going to be working on them a bit today. If you have any questions about them, please let me know. I'm going to be filling out what I at least at minimum outlines for the kinds of information that I want to put in here about each of these characters, but I am happy to share whatever you'd like to know. All right, so I'm going to go through these really quick so you can kind of see who's in the mix here. And there's a couple that I missed, and I'm actually kind of bummed that I haven't put them in yet. But here are the ones that I had actual photos of me in cosplay for. All right, so starting, I have a Hunger Games Victor, a mentor for Hunger Games tributes. That's in an alternate universe story that is called the 125th Hunger Games. The idea being that the rebellion never happened, and twice the number of years went by from the book series. So this is a sort of future, but really more of just a continual story of the decay of Panem and the capital and stuff. So my character, very, very tragic. Lots of cosplayers in the community call her Plant Mom because she's from District 9, which is a grain district, and she's very sad. So that's Agda, is my Hunger Games OC. Then I have Dallas the Dark Claw, who came about because a couple of really cool Aussie cosplayers that I know, Luna and Megan and Brooke, they have Witcher OCs, Lady Witchers, and I thought this was really cool, and I am so proud of Dallas as a character because she is the first foray into kind of hardcore face makeup that I'd ever tried. So I'm very excited. She's both a Witcher OC, but then I also used her as a lark for a bunch of Princess Bride videos as a Dread Pirate Roberts sort of character. So I was very pleased. Desi is a Firefly character on a ship. She's a mechanic. My dog Whiskey is another character. I decided to drag him into it, so Whiskey's technically our chief engineer. I'm not bitter that they designated him that at all. No. Anyway, so Desi's another character. So these two are interesting. They're alternate universe versions of the same character because I liked the outfit and I liked the character. So first one is alphanumeric, but it does spell out Lost Boy. Lost Boy is a from the Asunderland story, the Asunderland tag, which is like a post-apocalyptic sci-fi fantasy dystopian world where it's fairy tale characters, lots of Alice in Wonderland, lots of Wizard of Oz, and pretty much any public domain fairy tale characters were par for the course. So I made a Lost Boy. Not based on any of the particular named Lost Boys, but I just decided to go generic, which allowed me a little more freedom to kind of figure out what kind of character he/they were. Then I have Lot. Lot is my 90s high school version of Lost Boy because a bunch of the people in the Sunderland tag started making 90s high school versions of the Neverland characters. And so that's Neverland High, where we just post ridiculous teenager videos where they're just all in high school, and it's very delightful. Portia is from a college. Yes, this is definitely how you occupy your time during a pandemic. I've been doing this since January, though, Chad. I don't really have an excuse. Portia, up here, she is from a college band tag where people were just like, all right, you're a musician in a college rock band. Portia is a singer and a bass player, but she also is a documentary filmmaker. She's a film grad student, so she has a camera, and I am duetting people's videos in this tag as someone filming a documentary about the bands as they're on tour. So I get to do a lot of cool effects in TikTok that make the other people's cameras or the other people's videos look like they're being shot with a video camera. It's very fun. I very much enjoy her character. Rhyme, I haven't played around with much yet. She's also in the Asunderland tag, and she's based off of a djinn, or the genie sort of character. I avoided using the word djinn, even though her she's an android or a cyborg or something. She's a mech. She's a robot, and the idea of a genie slash robot would be a mechanical character that could, say, create holograms, or is basically she's Alexa. She's a repository of knowledge that you can ask questions of and things like that. But so I'm playing around with her more. I'll probably mess with her makeup more than now that I'm way more confident in my makeup skills. I think I can do more to her to make her seem more robotic, which will be interesting. Um, Telemachus was a surprising creation. He is my grungy garbage wizard boy. Hadn't really done. Yes, and if you accidentally say someone's name that's too close to rhyme, she'll just go, "I'm sorry, I can't help you with that." I am going to be using a lot of audio for her that is Portal and GLaDOS inspired. She's going to have a bit of a mean streak in her. I'm actually very excited. So Telemachus is my first foray into actual straight up drag makeup. I was studying a lot of drag kings on YouTube and how they do their recontouring to make their face look more masculine and how they do facial hair and things like that. So I'm playing around a lot with him in that sort of style. I'm very much enamored with him as a character. He's very fun. He's just sort of a generic fantasy character that I have him in a number of tags. And then finally, Verdaliance is a superhero in a superhero tag that people use called New Metro. It's a sort of 80s inspired, silly superhero setting. And so Verdaliance is she's a librarian by day and a superhero by night, and then a karaoke host by late night. And her superpower involves taking hits from things and then being able to absorb that kinetic energy, and then once it builds up enough, she can punch back with a lot of force. So she's definitely like a guardian sort of character or a defense tank kind of character. How is my day going? Asks Chad in chat. I am sorry you are a potato. My day's going okay. I was up late last night, but with Shenanigans, our D&D Spelljammer show, but I am awake now, I suppose. Yes, she's delightful. I very much enjoy, and I'm very excited to eventually get back to Verdaliance. I haven't filmed a lot with her in a while. Oh, gotcha. It took a second. Yeah, I love Portal. I love the whole. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. Hi, medic. Yeah, Shenanigans had a great night last night. You guys were amazing. We hit level 5 on a hype train, so we finished 4, I think. 4 levels. We got to 5, but we finished 4, which meant we earned 4 new rerolls into our party party pool, which is amazing. Thank you so much. Let's see. Back to what I was doing here. So this is my world. This is one of my World Anvil worlds. I'm using it as a splash page or as a landing page for my my cosplay that I do on TikTok and post a little bit on Instagram. Characters that I've created and I'm doing storylines with. These aren't just looks. These are interactive community filmmaking projects. People doing back and forths with each other, or someone putting up an open video that says, "Hey, if you would like to join me on this video," or as TikTok has it called duetting. If you'd like to duet this video, it's open. Anyone can react to it. People do anything from musical performances to movie and TV quotes, like doing dialogue from other things, original dialogue you can record yourself. So it's sort of a bit of a LARP, like a digital LARPing thing, live action role play. So it's a mix of all those things, these sort of parodies and pastiches of other things using existing audio, and remixing it and recontextualizing it into a different sort of story, or just using whatever that audio means independent of you and bringing it into your character's story. So there's a lot of really neat things. What I'm going to end up doing at some point is downloading all the TikTok videos that I've made for my different characters and then putting them into YouTube videos, then sort of montage. So you can watch all of them. It's like if they're between 15 seconds and a minute each, there's going to be a lot of footage to actually watch if you want to sort of see both my development as a cosplayer, but then their development as a character. But I'm using World Anvil right now to make character bio pages. So I have these characters that I've been working on, but I don't have much filled out in their articles. And so what I wanted to do today was take this homepage that I made and fill out some information about some of these characters, because I have a bunch in my head and I don't want to lose it. You know, because just passage of time or something happens and I forget what I wanted to do with the character. So yeah, I'm gonna start with Agda Deercross, who is my Hunger Games character. So when you click in, you end up actually in a character page that I made already on World Anvil. It's very sparse right now, obviously. But I'm going to work on her as a character. Now, this is World Anvil's character page. They've done a lot of updates to the UI and the functionality of these pages, which is very, very nice. There's some really cool updates to it since the last time I played around in it. But we are going to talk a little bit about some of the things that I could develop for my character. Now, here's the basics of what I've created for Agda. This tag, which this is one of the things that we do. For storytelling, I want in section, not section. No, I think it's under design. I can do a subheading, and I can do an excerpt. I can do a mouse over snippet, but we're gonna start here with some basic information. So, the basics of what I want to express to people, firstly, is the yay, Chad! Hooray! Go buy yourself something nice. Don't buy that Best Buy TV that they just set to be $1,200. You know, the exact price of some people's checks. That's not shady. Anyway, Agda is a part of the 125th Hunger Games tag, which is a little crazy in terms of its spelling, but I want to put Agda Hunger Games. So those are my tags. Tags to find Agda's videos are under these tags. And what I'll end up doing is making those into links for those tags. And then people will be able to, if I haven't gotten them yet onto YouTube, I will get them here to, I'll have some links so that people can find stuff for Agda's work, for the work I've done on her. So the things that I'm going to put in here is that she's known as the Viper of District 9. District 9 is an agricultural, I believe it's grain specifically, but grain and agriculture. Let's talk a little bit about Agda. I already have her character portrait. I don't know the years in the Hunger Games thing, so it's a little bit unnecessary. And I'm not that worried about basic demographic information here because I don't have any of it defined, and it's literally me. So I'm not going to worry too much about that. So her basic stuff is not really something that I'm worried about. Let's see. All right, so this is where the meat of the information is going to be. So, her personal history. She was born, and these are going to be really basic. I'm going to flesh this out way more to sound like better prose. So, born in District 9. She fell in love with a boy named Ishmael Carver. Now, Agda is the most tragic thing I've ever created. Now that I actually think about it, I have her bio in Discord. So I will pull her bio because all of these, not all of them, but a lot of these characters are in different Discords. So Discord channels that have information about them. And just ways for people to coordinate to make stuff. So here's the way too much information that I wrote about Agda already. So Agda is 28. Her pronouns are she, her. She is a former tribute, a victor of the 113th Hunger Games. And she is a mentor for District 9 tributes. I wrote her personality: shrewd, introspective, brooding, and pragmatic. Oh my. But the basic gist of Agda is that she was chosen in the Reaping when she was 16 to take part in the Hunger Games as a competitor. If you haven't read the Hunger Games, basically um, dystopia. So it's a dystopia where there were rebellions against this autocratic dictatorship, this sort of dystopian dictatorship, and as punishment, you have something called the Hunger Games, where children are chosen from each of the regions of the country to participate in basically a battle royale, a death match. And the winner gets enough food to feed their family for a year. So, lots of darkness to be found there. Uh, what we've got with Agda is basically, in my opinion, Katniss on steroids. Someone described her backstory. But one of the things in the Hunger Games that I always really liked were the victors, the past winners of the Hunger Games. There's something so psychologically interesting about that group of characters, the ones who suffered through what the main characters suffer through, but then made it out, and the system stayed. They didn't cause any revolutions. They didn't turn people against the government. They just continued to live and work through the PR machine that the Capitol created. Oh yeah, this character is incredibly dark. The gist of this character is that she was chosen in the Reaping. Her boyfriend at the time, they were both 16. He volunteered after she was chosen because he wanted to help. He wanted to protect her. He wanted to be with her. And so he basically signed himself away in an attempt to keep her safe. There had been two winners the previous year. And so he was sort of like, look, there's precedents. We could do this. We could work together. We could live through this. And during the games, they stuck it out. They were able to survive for quite a long time, and then a bunch of the tributes from the richer districts, the career tributes, the ones who've trained their whole lives, basically they're professional killers at 11 to 18, and they tracked down Agda and Ishmael and set off some trap because they're a bunch of jackasses, and there was a flurry of death and disorientation and fog and hallucinations and stuff. I'm not quite sure the nature of the trap they set off. But in that mix, Agda ran, thought she was being chased by one of the bad guys, took her weapon and stabbed at the first thing that got near her, and found out that she had actually killed Ishmael. And that all the other careers had died in the blast of the trap. And she won the Hunger Games that year. So she dealt with the fact that she accidentally killed her boyfriend. And then I found out later that the Hunger Games after hers had been selected by two winners. So her year was the only one in 3 years consecutively where two people didn't win, and they could have potentially. So yeah, lots of darkness to be explored in that character. I'm doing a whole background on her while we're waiting. There's actually some casting happening for this tag, for the tributes for the actual 125th games. And then Agda's going to be one of the mentors for them. I'm very, very excited by her. She is someone who has a lot of conflicting personality traits because she's basically been strong-armed by the government to play the heel, very much like pro wrestling, just to play this villainous character. That skull she's holding in the picture is the gilded skull of Ishmael because the president was like, hey, you're gonna play the bad guy now, or I'm gonna do terrible things to Ishmael's family. You're gonna play this part because I think I'm playing in this idea of it was too sad. Like, their story was too, yeah, it's fucked up. Their story was too sad. And she said the wrong thing during an interview. She basically looked at the camera and said, why would you find joy in this? And it's not right. And you're just watching us suffer, and that's not okay. And because she ran her mouth at the interviews, she had a target on her back. And so she basically got turned into a villain by the Capitol, and she has to keep playing that part. But when she's a tribute mentor and she actually gets alone with these kids, she can sort of be that support that they need, even though she's playing the sociopath part when she's out on the PR trail. I love this character. She's so freaking intense. And I really, really enjoy her because there's nothing people on TikTok love more than some angst videos. Uh, Even more than ferret videos, which I also very much enjoy. So I have a bunch of stuff written for Agda. I think I can throw some of this into the actual area that is called personal history. Let's see. She had accomplishments and achievements. Victor of the 113th Hunger Games. Failures and mental trauma. There's a spot for that. Morality and philosophy. She has been in survival mode for the last 12 years. She's willing to compromise her morals to protect other people, innocent people. I will put else in here. There was another. I'm trying. There's a secrets area. Gender identity. Agda. Agda's pronouns are she, her. Taboos. I'm not quite sure how to fill that out. Agda's bisexual. Imagine that. Character I make who's bi. Can't imagine. But personal or social? Affiliated organizations, no. Birth, current residence, titles. Victor, District 9. Mentor. I can't get my typing correct. I have other things in here, but the big one I want to make sure I put in here is I probably would put it under failures and embarrassments, but so there's a story a few years back. She had one of her tributes poisoned during the first night of the games. The kid was like a child, like a very young child, and had no business being there. It was one of those, like, when the cutoff's 11, that's ridiculous. So she basically coordinated with a sponsor to say, hey, you have money against this kid not making it out past this time. I will help you win that money if you do this. So now there's a rumor that she killed one of her own tributes, and it's really a shame because what she did was basically a kindness in her mind. Let that kid sort of pass away into sleep, and the parents, she took a cut of the money that this guy won and then gave it to the kid's parents. Like, the better situation that they were going to end up with, they would have had nothing, and so she anonymously gave all that to them. And there's only the rumor that she killed the kid, not that she did all that. So, whew, she's dark. I'm gonna take a pause from Agda. So I am gonna see if I can find her tags real quick. I'm gonna put her personality. I'll let it load a little. Yeah, we'll go to something more fun in a second. I promise. Where is it? Mental, personal history, education, accomplishments, failures, intellectual characteristics. Okay. Alright, so I'm gonna save that, and then we're gonna take a look at what her page looks like. Yeah. Very depressed. So I'm going to work on this a little bit. There's going to be some links here. I'll have more information about her. She has a little bit of a blurb here. I'm going to find some images. What's also going to be in here is as I talk about her backstory, I'm going to probably have some of the YouTube videos linked in. I want to have a bunch of multimedia in here that you can experience, and then maybe a gallery of all of her videos, so you can watch her storyline as it progresses, and it's going to link to the actual Thank you, Chad. I consider that a compliment. She's Batman, John Wick, but sad and no agency over her existence. Anyway, the reason I made a dark character is because I have lots of light and fluffy characters. Sadly, one of the characters that I have that did not end up on this list, and I need to do this, is Spindlethrift. Spindlethrift is a little halfling boy, and he's so sad but so sweet. He's part of the Tiny Adventures tag, which is no drama allowed, no angst allowed. It's all just cute and wholesome, and it's delightful. But I have to put him in here too. But let's go to, for the heck of it, someone that I actually know a bit about. So Lot is a 90s, he's a 90s boy. He's an artist and a graffiti, he's a graffiti artist and an actual, like, artist. And let's see, he's a junior at Neverland High. I think it's Neverland High. It might be Everland High, but I don't remember. He's a junior at Neverland High. He's an artist. He has a huge crush on his best friend Tink, who I've talked to that character, that actor before. So we're on the same page with that one. Foster kid. Let's see. He likes graffiti. He uses. His theme song was not Teenage Dirtbag, but that's a really good one. You're kind of limited by what's available, so I think I had Green Day. I should check. I think I used Green Day for his music. I love the 90s tag because, yeah, it's all full of ridiculous music cues. Let me see if I can find him. Lost Boy. Just look for his tag and then find him in here. He is. No, that's not early enough. Let me see if I can figure out which one he is. I used. I'm trying to. On that one, give me a sec. I made a lot of videos for Lot. I very much enjoy him. He did have a sad storyline at one point, but I'm moving on from it now. Got a little angsty, and I was like, yeah, it's okay. Let's just make him happy. What did I use? Oh, I used song number 2. I didn't use Green Day. So yeah, Blur. Song 2 by Blur. I was very proud of that. He's fun. Okay, so I'm going to pull up his video and find the notes that I had. So Lot, a gloomy artist with a squishy center, totally not in love with his best friend Tink. What are you talking about? Is what I labeled the bottom of this as. His favorite mediums are Sharpies and spray paint. Sharpies and spray paint. He's friends with Tink and Peter. Friends with Tink and Peter. And the other Lost Boys. Has he crushed his best friend Tink? He's a foster kid. Foster siblings with, I think, Toodles. Yeah, she's another kid. So what he's great. And he always has paint splotches on his face. So I'm always changing what his paint splotches are when I do videos for him. Um and he did get beat up by some bullies. That's a good point. His pronouns are he, they. And yeah, so he's delightful. He's just this. He's kind of grumpy a little bit. He's sort of a bear of a kid. He's a little husky and tall and you know, will beat someone up if you get in the face of his friends. He's very cute. He's wearing I bought an oversized t-shirt at a store that had the logo for the movie The Goonies. I bought it specifically so I could wear it, or crop it into a smaller, better fitting shirt for me, but it's like a 5X. It's huge, but very fun for a 90s kid. So he's got this like denim going, these like really light jeans, and he's wearing this Goonies shirt, and he's got a nose. Well, he got beat up by kids. He had a nose ring. He doesn't have one anymore. I feel kind of bad about it. But I'm very much enamored with him as a character. So the foster kid thing, or the foster sibling thing. What is very important, a topic that gets brought up a lot in TikTok and in cosplay in general, is the idea of consent in narrative. Talking to fellow cosplayers in the community when you want to incorporate something into the storyline, or you want to duet one of their videos that adds something to the storyline, or understanding that if somebody makes a romance story, that you have clear age limits on who can duet them, because you want to be safe and you want those younger kids to be safe and not put themselves into situations that would be inappropriate or could eventually open them up to harassment or concerning unsafe situations. So people are generally pretty good at respecting people's boundaries when it comes to the cosplay community on TikTok. But one of the big core values in the cosplay community is that whatever's on your channel is canon for your character. But that does not mean that whatever you put on your channel is canon for those other people. So if you duet someone's videos and they end up on your page, they don't end up on that other person's page. Your sort of remix or version of their videos is what's on your account, or what's attached to your account. And that can be canon for your character. You can say, for example, Toodles is one of the Lost Boys, the gang at school, and I have decided that Toodles and Lot are foster siblings. They're in the same foster home. That does not have to be Enigma Rosemary, the person who plays Toodles. That doesn't have to be her story for Toodles. And I made it very clear that she was under no obligation to have that be canon in her story. That's just how I read the characters. And so my character has that specific detail, but you go to Toodles' other videos, that's not necessarily true for her, and that's okay. That is the case with any of them. And it's why I open to duets for everybody, but just with the caveat, just remember that doesn't necessarily require that I find that to be what my character did in my story. So it's interesting, TikTok being used as sort of a storytelling process and people being open or setting clear boundaries with their yes, every page is basically like an AU. That's a very good way to put it. It's an individual's interpretation of the character and the character and the world around that character. No, that's a very good way to put it, Jesse. I like it. So Lot is an artist. He has a tendency to sketch. He makes art inspired by his friends. Let's see, some of his friends, notable friends. He's friends with Tink, Peter, Toodles, Curly's another one of the Lost Boys. Cedar is a Lost Boy. There was another one. I guess Michael Darling is someone that he sort of interacts with. Good example of him doing art. I actually go into Photoshop and I make art, and then I plug that into videos and stuff. So I have him giving people art projects and things. Michael, Wendy's little brother, got beat up by the same people that beat up Lot, and he made Michael some art of him pulling the bully up by his underwear up a flagpole, with the school flag flying above it. It was very good. Like, Lot was saluting his shorts. I thought it was good. Of course, he'd be a little shit and do that. And he put a bunch of really stupid nicknames for everybody, like the big bad in the storyline, or the big bad in the story is Croc, which I think is hilarious, to have a like ex-juvie teenage bully character based off the crocodile, not off Hook. And so yeah, it's fun. I had a really good time with it. So let me see, was there another character that that Lot was friends with? But those are good enough for now. So we're gonna save that. Again, this is just putting the information down, not necessarily finalized. I'm going to be doing a lot of prettying it. I'm going to be putting it in paragraphs to make it more elaborate in the way that it is, and again, putting videos up for the characters so that you can actually like follow along with their story. This is in large part an effort to make my characters and make my TikTok my TikTok art more accessible to people. This is so that people could go to this webpage and they want to know more about the character. They can find out more concrete canon information about the characters. So I'm going to be working on this for the next probably several days, just to kind of fill out my day, projects and stuff. Got to keep yourself busy. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. All right, so we are at the 10-minute mark before we are done, and I want to really quick just talk about a couple of things here. So I am part, as host of the Power Hour, I'm part of the Nerdsmith Network, and I think everybody in chat knows what the Nerdsmith Network is. But if you're watching this on VOD, I want you to know that Nerdsmith is a community of amazing content creators doing podcasts and live streams and all sorts of fun, nerdy entertainment, free for you to access. If you would like to support us, you can do so at patreon.com/nerdsmith. We're posting a bunch of bonus content, things for our different shows, and that money goes towards helping us keep the lights on and supporting the other shows on our network. Please take a look. We are also sponsored by two absolutely incredible companies. One, I think you can guess, but the other is Die Hard Dice. They are creators of amazing metal and polymer dice. Die Hard's been hit just as bad as the rest of us with the stay-at-home measures and shipping concerns and lots of small businesses having a lot of trouble lately. Die Hard is no different, and they're incredible people, and they're absolutely worthy of your support. If you haven't yet, I believe they are still accepting the special bonus codes that we have for our viewers. So if you use DRPG, that's short for Discover RPG, you can get 15% off your next purchase at Die Hard Dice. It's dice and dice accessories, and whether you want metal or plastic dice, they're beautiful colors and really cool designs that they make in-house. So please check them out at dieharddice.com. Roll with the best. Finally, obviously, I can't point that high, I get cut off by the camera. Obviously, we are also we are sponsored by World Anvil. World Anvil is so cool. I will show you just a little bit right here. Some of the new stuff that they've put together. They have content tree, they have family trees, and then content trees, which is just content or organizational trees for everything. You can do all sorts of things. The example that they have here is a magic system. So if you had, this is what magic is like, these are the schools of magic, and these are the spells, like you could make an organized visual representation of that hierarchy in your world. So you should definitely check that out. They do a bunch of really great stuff. They have an incredible team, an incredible community of people, and you should absolutely check out World Anvil. It's free to try, and if you decide you want to help and support them, you can do so by becoming a guild member at worldanvil.com. So please take a look, and I really hope you consider it. All right, Jesse, thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to cut it a little short today. My throat is hurting something fierce, and I need to salvage, or I need to ration my Peppacoa so that I have some for karaoke tonight, or Friday night, rather. So we're going to be here same time, same place, Wednesdays, noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern for the Power Hour. I will see you next week. Thursday, tomorrow, we have No Brainer, our trivia show, hosted by Matthew Siebert and starring Nerdsmith and friends of Nerdsmith, going head-to-head in 3-team trivia night. So please take a look. If you donate money during the stream, you can muck up the questions in some very hilarious ways. Highly recommend it. And then on Friday, we have Fireside Chad, where Chad, who I think is possibly the last person in chat here, are one of our amazing creators, GM of the Chaotic Goodness podcast, player on, GM of the first season of In Vain, and then also a licensed medical or mental health professional. He has been very kind to spend a little bit of time on Friday afternoons giving you some advice and resources for how to best manage your mental health during this time. Lots of different topics, and he takes questions during the show. So if you have anything you want to talk out or anything you'd like to ask, please join us. And then also on Friday night at 7 p.m. Pacific, we have Nerdsmith Sings Our Heart Out, which is becoming steadily our favorite and more popular of our random shows that we've started creating. We sing karaoke on Twitch Sings for several hours. You can buy requests with $5 donations. You can request from our creator set lists and all sorts of stuff like that. So please check us out. If you want to get buzzed when we go live for any of these programs, please follow us. You'll get pinged when we go live. Or you can follow us on Twitter at WeAreNerdsmith, and we tweet out in advance of these shows, so you can check them out. But once again, please check out World Anvil. I'm very excited to share the rest of my my characters with you at some point. Obviously, I think about them a lot, and I want to be able to do stuff with them. So writing a little bit of prose or having a little bit of something written up for each of them is very cathartic for me and helps me collect my thoughts for future shooting schedule nights when I want to film more videos for them. So yeah, please check them out. I am darling_gypsum on Twitter and TikTok and Instagram, pretty much anywhere. Darling_gypsum, you can find me there. I am Angela. Once again, this has been the Nerdsmith Power Hour, and you are amazing, folks. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday, and please, 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 please do me a favor and be good to each other. All right. See you guys next time. Bye-bye.